I? Who am I?
Lord Commander.
And who are you?
Jon Snow.
Who are you?
Your steward.
You want to lead one day? We'll learn how to follow.
Hey, welcome to the Wall Street Journal. I'm Marshall Crook with my lovely wife, Jennifer Krieger, and our guest, Kit Harington, the star of Game of Thrones.
Hey.
And okay, before we really nerd out on Jon Snow questions, we can dig deep on that. I want to ask you, because we've seen so many previews about the big episode. It feels like this entire season has been building to episode 9, Blackwater. Can you tell us anything of what we can expect? Because we've seen fire arrows and people screaming.
Yeah, I can't tell you anything. That's I'm really not allowed. But
is that hard as an actor when everyone's trying to get information out of you?
It's really tricky with this show, yeah, because obviously I've read the books and certain people have read the books. And so you'll get a lot of sort of interviews where they go, but you can tell us because I know what happens. And then you go, well, I have to balance that with with a non-book reader and a book reader, and then you don't want to spoil it for the people who are just following the show. So it gets tricky at times. But apart from Blackwater, for the next episode, I think it's fair to say they spent the longest period of time they have on any episode filming that one, the most amount of money they have on any episode filming that one. No expense was spared, and they just threw it at it. So I'm like as excited to see it as anyone, you know. So yeah, I think they don't want to give those teasers a tiny little bits because they don't want to give too much away. But they built ships and they spent, you know, months working on it in Belfast. So what I've heard of the battle is pretty going to be pretty impressive.
Another thing we've just been enjoying so much this season is your relationship with Ygritte. And so, well, what was it like, you know, working with her and establishing that relationship? And you are just so isolated and on this glacier somewhere in the middle of nowhere and cold. What was that like?
Do you know what, it was amazing because we're so isolated from the rest of the story. You know, I met, you know, I was really intrigued to find out who Ygritte was going to be, you know, and because I'd always loved that bit of the books, you know, I'd always loved that storyline, and so I was really intrigued to see who they'd cast as it, and they cast Rose, and so I was thinking, I really hope I get on with this girl, I really hope she is the loveliest person ever, and not at all really like her character. She's strays quite far from herself to get to that character.
Did you guys have an opportunity to rehearse your dynamic, or did you just have to put on your coats, go out onto the ice, and make it work?
We rehearsed quite a bit, sort of, you know, before we went out the next day. We'd go through it. We were isolated in the middle of nowhere in Iceland, and there was very little to do other than drink and like, you know, kind of sort of play ping pong. We did a lot, you know. But apart from that, we rehearsed quite a bit between us. Me, Simon, who plays Corin, and Rose. We went through it a lot because there was very little else to do in the evening, and so luckily me and her got on very, very well, and she's great to work with, and we instantly found a kind of dynamic between us, and so we really kind of enjoyed those scenes, and I think that was important for it.